How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another Legend team in the Halloween Cup, featuring Purified Golbat on the lead, Carbink as the closer, and Greninja as the safe switch. Now, these battles were sent into the channel by fellow content creator G.A.B.A, so huge thank you to him for sending them in. And he let me know that not only did he hit Legend with the team, but he also hit Expert with the team and climbed like 500 plus ELO over the course of the Halloween Cup. So, very strong team. Of course, as always, you have to kind of use your teams based on what you're seeing in the meta. Where obviously if you're seeing tons of Golbat counters on the lead, maybe this isn't the best team to use based on your ELO range, but the team is definitely good because you don't just go up 500 ELO with a team by accident. So let's get into the battles here, and let's see what G.A.B.A can do here with the team. Hopefully this is a little bit of maybe the last little bit of push you guys might need, you know, with the last day or so of the Halloween Cup upon us here. Maybe this is the team that you need just to get you over that hump and help you hit your goals. So first battle, we pick up the Wormadam Trash lead, very rough lead, and he switches into the Carbink this time. Typically the Greninja is going to be the safe switch, but recognizes he probably wants to get that Greninja onto the Wormadam Trash in the endgame. So brings in the Carbink. The opponent is going to be forced to shield, and it looks like he's actually going to commit a shield of his own here, try to make it to the Rock Slide, but the opponent has immaculate counting there, and they unfortunately are going to force him basically to go down a shield, and he still doesn't have switch advantage. So this is really looking rough right now. I like this play of coming in with the Greninja, and beautifully gets the farm down there, has a ton of energy, but unfortunately the opponent has a Toxapex in the back, and it looks like he's just getting hard countered here in the first game. I'm not really sure if there's a win con at this point. Unfortunately, does throw the Shadow Ball on alignment as well. The entire Confusion sneaks through for free, and yeah, this is just looking really rough. Not sure there's much he can do here. Maybe if he can get a massive farm down here with the Greninja, but the opponent actually throws energy here, which is really nice, but they actually undercharge it beautifully as well. And it might have been nice for him there to actually stop tapping and let the Greninja get a really big farm down there on the Wormadam, because the only win con I'm seeing at this point is for the Greninja to get a boost and make like 5 or 6 Night Slashes to take out this Toxapex. No boost is coming, unfortunately, and the opponent at this point probably can just Poison Jab all the way down. I'm not really sure if they even need to throw energy here, but he does almost have 3 Night Slashes, so maybe if the opponent shields this and then he boosts, but no, they know better. They no shield that Night Slash, and the opponent honestly is playing this immaculately. Yes, the opponent had alignment, but they just basically prevented him from making any play on taking this game. So very nicely done. Does make it very close in the end, but is going to lose the first one here. And they actually go for the Sludge Wave BM as well. So a little bit tough there in the first battle. We pick up the G.A.B.A lead here in the next battle, and this is a little bit better of a lead here. The G.A.B.A probably does win the 2s just because of the pure Dragon Tail damage. As you guys see, the Golbat's already very low. And I actually like this play as well, to bring in the Carbink there to soak the damage, because even though Aqua Tail is super effective, Aqua Tail just does absolutely nothing to the Carbink. Carbink is just so incredibly broken, guys. It is just ridiculously bulky. Even though this thing is only a 13, 15, 14, it is just absolutely stupid how little damage it takes from super effective charge moves, and does call the move there just to play rough, and it looks like he's going to commit to the Moonblast, and I imagine he's probably just going to let this go and use it as an opportunity, but no, I was going to say maybe he's going to get some energy on the Golbat, but no, actually going to play for maybe the last shield here, or switch advantage, but doesn't really need switch because the Greninja doesn't really do well against G.A.B.A either, and he does get the last shield off the opponent, and now gonna bring back in the Golbat and gonna shield it up, maybe commit to a very aggressive farm down. We'll have to see, and the opponent aggressively brings back in the G.A.B.A. They're gonna hit him with the Aqua Tail here. Can he survive it and make the Shadow Ball? And yes, he can. And now Greninja is gonna have a lot of work to do in the end game. The nice thing is the Azu is pretty low, and I think a Hydro Cannon will just about KO the Azu, and they just threw energy as well. So if they bring back in the Azu here, he's easily going to be able to outpace, and they actually have a Carbink in the back, and this is going to be game over. 2 Hydras will be taking care of this Carbink, and then he should be outpacing the Azu here. I like how he waited a turn there as well, just to make sure they don't catch, and now Greninja just easily outpaces this Azu, and that's going to be a G to the G in the second game. So gets a little bit of redemption from the first loss there, takes out the Azu, and Greninja with the sweep. Greninja is just a very good Pokemon in this meta, guys. I don't have to really say that. You guys know it's at the top of the rankings on the PvPoke for a reason, but picks up a what is this thing called? A Runerigus here in the next battle, and does go for the Shadow Ball. It looks like Golbat does win CMP. The opponent does respect it, and now, do you call the Sand Tomb or do you shield? And he calls the Sand Tomb bait. Very, very nicely done. The opponent does build back up to the Shadow Ball, and are they going to bait again? He's going to call it, and it's just another Sand Tomb. The opponent's in absolute shambles here, and I like how he's just going straight for these Shadow Balls here, saving the shield for his backline, and now, with a 2-0 shield advantage, he's going to pivot into the Greninja here. I think that's the correct play, because if he stayed in there, the opponent could probably just farm him all the way down with Shadow Claw, and they do have a Tentacruel in the back, and should get both of these Night Slashes off. Throws on very nice timing there, and the Tentacruel is going to farm all the way down, but 2-shield Carbink, guys. I'm just not really sure there's many things that can beat a 2-shield Carbink. I like the play here of bringing back in the Golbat, forcing their energy here, and now gonna Rock Throw down the Tentacruel. And if he can get this farmed out without shielding, it'd be very nice, but no, unfortunately, he does have to shield, or excuse me, does have to take a move here. Doesn't shield it, actually, and what is going to be in the back? They bring back in the Runerigus, and they're going to just go straight for a Sand Tomb here, which is really unfortunate. Kind of does have to shield it, but will be taking out this Runerigus, overfarms a little bit, and still does have a shield advantage for the backline, and maybe calling here that with the Runerigus on the lead, they don't have a better answer to Carbink in the back. And sure enough, it's the Mandibuzz in the back, and actually going to call the move as well. Lives the Aerial Ace, he still has a shield. And is he actually going to be able to make this Moonblast and then farm down before he gets snarled down? It's going to be very close, actually. And he just barely does. Oh my gosh, on very minimal HP. I love the flex there with the shield, and takes the win in style. So that's a situation where, you know, reading the team really helped him out there, because you might have been wondering, you know, why is he putting it all on Carbink there with 2 shields? But recognizing that Runerigus is a very, very dominant matchup for the Carbink, and recognizing that once he could get rid of it or get it low and get the opponent's shields, that they probably didn't have a better answer to the Carbink in the back. So picks up an Azu lead in the next battle, does safe switch again into the Carbink, and this time it's going to be met with a Dragalge, actually. So very interesting from the opponent to bring the Dragalge into the Carbink. This is definitely not really an answer to Carbink, and the opponent brings back in the Azu, again throwing on very nice timing on 4 rock throws there to only allow the opponent to get 1 extra turn of energy there. And now the Golbat is going to be coming back into the Azu. Sorry, I cannot speak, guys. And actually, maybe the opponent switched into the Dragalge. I think that's what happened. The opponent safe switched out of there into the Dragalge, and he met that with the Carbink. And the opponent has a Wormadam Trash in the back. And this is just looking like pretty RPS right now. Unfortunately, he does throw an alignment there, lets an entire Confusion go in for free. But this should still be okay, because the Wormadam Trash takes a very long time to get to its charge moves. And at this point, I think you can just go straight Hydro Cannon and still pretty comfortably win this matchup. I don't quite think a Hydro Cannon will KO here, but as long as he can get this Wormadam pretty low, the Golbat should be able to come in and farm down and then throw a move into the Azu here. And I think this should be a GG, because even if the Azu has a move, the Golbat will easily be winning CMP. And that's exactly what happens, and I think, yeah, they just recognize it's over, and they surrender. So very nicely played in that battle. Again, he did have alignment there, but oftentimes, half of the game is just making sure you're playing it correctly, because oftentimes, even with alignment, when you're playing against good opponents, they can still pivot around and make it a very close game. So unfortunately, in this battle, he switches into the Greninja and is met with an Azu, and there's just really not a lot Greninja can do in this matchup. Now, the nice thing in this matchup is, if you go into the 2-shield, it actually can get fairly close, because Greninja just so dramatically outpaces the Azu, but it looks like he's fine with just basically forcing the opponent's energy and then bringing back in the Golbat to get some farm. But the thing is here, he still doesn't have alignment, and if he doesn't have alignment, this is going to be a little bit tricky for the endgame, unless the opponent is double weak to the Carbink in the back. I think that's going to be his win con at this point, if maybe the Azu was their only answer to the Carbink, and now that it's gone, maybe his Carbink can sweep, and they have a Greninja in the back, and yeah, this is looking really, really rough, unfortunately. Carbink can tank 1 Hydro Cannon, gonna shield it, maybe recognizing the opponent's gonna be less likely to bait on the first one, and maybe somehow, I am seeing potentially a win con here. If maybe he can get this last shield here with the Carbink, let them take him out, and then somehow farm down this Greninja with the Golbat, and then Shadow Ball the Frostlass. That is the only win con I'm seeing, but unfortunately, I think the opponent plays this really well. They actually overfarm massively, and they allow themselves to get to another move against the Golbat, and this is just going to be a good game. I think he's just taken too much damage, and yeah, the Frostlass had energy, so really nice recognition by the opponent. Again, when you're in this ELO range, opponents are just playing very, very well. They recognized they couldn't leave too much health on their Greninja to potentially allow that Golbat to get the farm down, and they end up taking the game. So very well played by the opponent, and we are leading into a Greninja here in the next battle. Throws on very nice timing again, waits for them to throw, and then throws one more wing attack in the Poison Fang. And Golbat definitely wins this in the 2-shield, tries to make a catch there of the Hydro Cannon onto his own Greninja, and unfortunately his Greninja is met with an Escavalier, and we'll be able to get 2 Hydros here if the opponent doesn't throw, so they very wisely do throw, and he wants that last shield, so he is going to go for the Hydro Cannon here and force their last shield, or take back switch advantage here, and the opponent actually lets it go, and they barely survive it there, so nice recognition by the opponent that they can live that. And he is down to shield. The Greninja still does have energy, but the Purified Golbat here can take a Hydro Cannon and banks the energy for later, and the opponent has a Jellicent in the back. And again, this is just looking really, really rough, guys. The Jellicent here probably wins this matchup in the 1s. In the 0s, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how much this move does. He is actually going to bait here with the Rock Slide, and the opponent does shield it here. So this is going to be very, very close. I don't think he has the Shadow Ball banked on the Golbat, unfortunately, but we will have to see. The opponent does dump all of their energy. I'm just not sure. I think he's going to take too much fast move pressure here, and he actually does have the Shadow Ball here, and the opponent catches. Oh my gosh. Tried to overfarm there, recognizing he needed a Poison Fang for the Golbat, or a Poison Fang for the Greninja, and a Shadow Ball for the Jellicent, but the opponent makes an absolutely savage catch there. So very well played once again to the opponent, and picks up another tough lead here in the next battle, the Shadow Scissor into the Golbat. And Shadow Scissor, definitely one of my favorite Pokemon in this cup. This thing is an absolute beast, and he is going to bait here with the Poison Fang. The opponent does call the bait, but honestly, that's still a pretty safe bait because it does a lot of damage. The wing attacks do a ton of damage and actually catches the move onto his own Greninja. So I like that play quite a bit. And the opponent doesn't have a great answer to Greninja here in the back. They're going to bring in their own Greninja and gets a shield with the Hydro as well. And I don't even think that he's quite in Hydro range. So should still be able to tank this, get his own off. Very nice recognition there. Barely survives it and going to do a lot of chip damage to the Greninja. And you could even come back in with the Golbat and potentially commit to a farm down here if you wanted to. We'll have to see. I'm not quite sure if Golbat can get it. And yeah, I think he was calling there that he probably wasn't quite going to get it. So does throw the energy. And I think this is just a Night Slash, actually. So this could be a very nice catch here, but no. It is the Hydro Cannon. Nerds Rising was not counting. And the opponent has a Golbat in the back. And this is looking like a GG here. He should be able to barely live this Shadow Ball and farm down probably whatever's in the back with the Rock Throws here, and I think this should be a GG. I think he can just farm down the Scissor. No, actually, Scissor was a lot healthier than I thought, but Golbat's going to farm down with wing attacks and goes for the Shadow Ball BM, and that is going to be a G to the G. So very nice play there. I like that win. I think we're in the last 2 battles, guys, and we pick up a Mawile lead here in the next battle. And Mawile, this is actually a Fire Fang Mawile. Mawile is not super common, but when you do see it, oftentimes it tends to be a pretty big core breaker. Fortunately for him, he has actually 3 pretty decent answers for it. He actually safe switches into the Greninja, and he's met with a Shadow Victory Bell, which is really, really rough, guys. Shadow Victory Bell, I have been seeing quite a few of those out there. And Shadow Victory Bell just completely shreds a lot of the meta. The Carbink specifically and the Greninjas, the water types, just get completely dominated by Vic. Calls the Leaf Blade there, actually, but I'm actually a little bit concerned right now that this could be a Grass Hole team with Mawile on the lead. And if this is Grass Hole, I think that Carbink in the back is just going to get completely deleted. We're going to have to see what their final Pokemon is. And it is, in fact, the Shadow Venusaur here running Razor Leaf. And unfortunately, he's just going to get fast move beaten to the ground. I like how he doesn't throw a move there, but Golbat is just barely... Oh my gosh, Golbat actually gets the 1 HP clutch. Holy crap, guys. We gotta rewind that. We have to rewind that again. I cannot believe he won that battle. I was gonna say Carbink is gonna get fully farmed down in the back, but somehow he's able to call the power-up punch, save enough health on the Golbat to where he somehow lives that on 1 HP. That was absolutely insane. I thought for sure that was a great game, and honestly, that is very, very nice recognition there by him to not throw a charge move and do as much rock throw damage as he can. and just barely gets the Venusaur low enough that he can wing attack down and lives on 1 HP. No shields were harmed in the making of that battle. And in the final battle, guys, it looks like we actually are playing against Home Slice Henry. He leads Wigglytuff into the oh my gosh, Home Slice just top lefts there. That he had the Wigglytuff into the Golbat, Home Slice switch into the Jellicent, and then the Greninja just hard counters the Jellicent there. And yeah, I do not blame Home Slice whatsoever there for top lefting. Not really a whole lot he could do. And yeah, so this is actually the final battle here into the Runerigus, and this time he does not successfully call the Sand Tomb bait. Does get a shield advantage, but the opponent unfortunately did not bait. His poor Golbat gets one-shotted, and there's a Toxapex in the back here. And I think maybe the play here is to try to catch the Sludge Wave onto the Carbink here. We'll have to see if he can do it. And actually, he's just staying in here, going straight for Night Slashes here, chipping away at the Toxapex. And now maybe do you just shield and switch out? And yeah, gonna shield. I really would like to see a switch into the Carbink at some point here, just because Carbink is going to have a lot better time taking these poison jabs than the Greninja, and does get them very low. And there's a Charge-a-Bug in the back, and oh my gosh, this poor Charge-a-Bug is just going to get absolutely deleted by these rock throws. Discharge does absolutely nothing, and I think you could even just farm all the way down if you wanted to, and it looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to farm all the way down, bank probably 100 energy, and they're not even going to make another move. And now he has all the energy in the world to throw at the Runerigus that's probably going to be coming back in here. And no, they actually come back into the Toxapex. They try to force him to throw. And yeah, this is looking really rough for the opponent. Can't easily live a Sand Tomb here. And you could even just throw this Moonblast and then pivot back into the Greninja. And basically, yeah, this is going to be a good game. Going to farm down with Water Shuriken. Opponent sees the writing on the wall, as Home Slice Henry would say, and surrenders. And that is going to be all she wrote, folks. So thank you to Zyrobyte once again for sending in these battles. As you guys can see, he didn't win every battle. There's definitely some lines that hard counter this team, but as I said before, the man climbed over 500 ELO with the team over the course of the Cup. So depending on what you're seeing in your ELO range, I think this team could be very strong. And Zyrobyte actually did mention this as well. The team actually didn't work quite as well after hitting Legend, so the teams he saw in the 3000s were a little bit more rough for the team than the teams he was seeing in like the Expert and the like the Veteran ELO range. So keep that in mind if you're going to try out the team. But either way, that is going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new to the channel and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, because we're not going to butcher the outro this time, because the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.